Good morning. So here we are at the last, with the last video from this sequence of lessons we've been through looking at proportion. We started back in class on fractions, and then we've looked at ratio and percentages. And last lesson on Friday, it was a mixture. And so today, just one little thing that didn't really get covered earlier. It's really easy. But this is when you want to know what one amount is as a percentage of another. So this is why I'm calling it, what percentage is that? So let's say you score 11 out of 20 in a test. What percentage is that? Well, without a calculator, it's as simple as changing the denominator to 100, because percent means out of 100. And in this case, that means multiplying by 5. So I do the same to the top. So that's 55%. Not always that obvious. Obviously 15, you can't multiply it up to make 100. But if I cancel it down first, so that is 4/5, isn't it? If I divide top and bottom by 3, then I can multiply by 20 to make 100. So I get 80%. So let me go through that again. So I spotted that both of these can be divided by 3. So I divided by 3. That's cancelling to give me 4/5. I then noted that 5 times 20 is 100. So I just had to multiply the top by 20 as well. 4 times 20 is 80. So it's 80%. Easy peasy. If you've got a calculator, even easier. So I know you'd all love a nice calculator like this. If you do A-level maths with us, then you'll get one. Anyway, we give it to you. So all I do is, to turn this into percentage, I divide it out. So I can either do that by using the fraction button and then pressing the S to D button, or I can just divide it. 16 divided by 40. I get, in this case, 0.4. And I just need to remember, what is that the decimal equivalent of? Well, it's not the decimal equivalent of 4%, is it? It's 40%. And if you're unclear about that, well, I'll take you right back to the beginning of the work we did on percentages. To change a decimal into a percentage, you multiply it by 100. We were actually going the other way to work out the decimal equivalent, but there we go. And if I've got a different unit, then I've got to make sure both are in the same unit. So I'm going to leave that as meters, and 20 kilometers is 20,000 meters. So that's the sum I'm going to do. 190 divided by 20,000. That's given me a really small number in standard form, which isn't very helpful, but there we go. It's 0.0095. Don't worry, that your calculator will give it to you as that. If I multiply that by 100, that's 0.95%. So it's not a very big part of that. So with a calculator, you just divide it out. That gives it to you as a decimal, and you then multiply by 100 to get the percentage equivalent. So that allows us to answer questions like this. Which is better? If someone gets 17 out of 40 in a test, or someone gets 82 out of 200 in a test? Well, I'm going to write both of those as fractions. 17 out of 40, 82 out of 200. These are quite easy to change into percentages. This one in particular, I'm going to do this without a calculator by halving the top and the bottom. So that's 41%. This one I'm going to do with a calculator, so I'm going to type in 17 divided by 40, and I get 0.425. And if I multiply that by 100, I get the percentage equivalent. And so I can see that this one is better than this one. And in maths, we have a way of writing that, don't we? So I could say 17 out of 40, 82 out of 200. We've just worked out that this is bigger, this is better So we use one of our inequality signs in between. So remember, the crocodile is eating the bigger number. I don't know how you remember it, that's how I do. So I can express those two with an inequality sign in between them, because this is 42.5% and this is 41%. Hopefully that's pretty straightforward. There's a simple worksheet of questions attached, and I will do what I did on Friday. I will post the answers later in the day. I trust you are well, and on Friday we start our next topic. Good stuff.